Okay, the blades are all finished now. I have the hand rubbed, the mirror finished, and the one that's going to be blued, which is just at 320. And I've started the next step already, and that's to cover up the blades so that they won't get damaged for fitting the handle for the rest of the steps. So I only have one left to do. Let me set the camera down right over here. What I do is I just take a little bit of toilet paper. I'll wrap the blade in that first. There's a little bit of oil. I've put just a thin film oil on that blade first, just because I don't like them rusting. I've had them rust on me in the past when they've been in there, and I don't want that to happen, so I've put oil on them. And we'll take that low stick tape, and we'll just wrap the whole thing up. And you don't have to worry about the low stick tape sticking on itself, so you can just rip a piece off. A little more to protect the tip of that. There we go. So that should help protect the blades, keep them from getting all marred up. Alright, so now that I'm done wrapping the blades to protect them, next step is to work on the handles a little bit, or the tangs, so that they'll accept the handles. So I'm going to take them and put them back in this vise. If you remember from the other piece, this is the setup that I used to hand sand the knife. I'm going to just grab it down. I don't need to grab it hard, I just don't want it to go away on me. I'm going to put on my safety glasses. If I can do this without knocking the camera down. I'm going to take a Dremel tool, and I'm just going to scar the tang so that the glue, the epoxy, will bite into it real good. Let me just show you. You can see that or not. I want them all running this way. I used to get kind of fancy. I'd zigzag all over. I'd put holes in it, whatever. And I think it weakens the tang. I think if you just run them straight like this, it'll still hold the glue in real good. It'll still hold the handles on good, but you won't risk weakening the knife any. So I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to do the same thing to it, and then I'm going to do the other two. And then we'll go from there. So now that I've got them like that, all three of them, I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol, just clean all my fingerprints off of them, and then they'll be ready for the last step. I said I have a clip point, 2 drop points, and one of the drop points is getting a micarta handle. And what I'm using for micarta is this denim micarta. It's made up of layers of just regular denim, regular blue jeans, and then some cotton t-shirt material, I guess, in between. And I've stacked them blue and orange all the way through. And what that'll leave you for a finished knife, well, this isn't finished, but this is what I'm working on also, and I'm about a step ahead of the ones I'm working on now. It'll leave you something like that. Alright, like I said, I'm going to get some alcohol in these. The wooden blades that I'm using, one is a maple. The clip point is getting a maple. And I've got some really, really nice looking maple I've got my hands on. And I'm putting that on it. And the other one, he just asked for wood, he didn't specify. So I'm going to put some of this koa on it. I've got these marked already. These are bookmarked. You can kind of see the pattern. The grain pattern is the same. What I do is I cut them from a single board, like that, so that these two sides are the same grain, or just the blade width apart. So if you can see, I have an arrow pointed in and pointed to the top. And what I'll do is I use that to make sure that I have them facing the same way on the knife, so that my grain will look the same. The first step for treating these is to take them to the belt sander and make sure that the backs are good and flat so that I have a good tight seal between the wood and the tang. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so to fit a knife, actually this knife here, this is the clip point. Fit a knife like this style, where it doesn't have a front guard, I do it a little different than I would with a guarded knife. The guarded knife, I have a flat, squared corner right here, a squared surface. So I actually fit them each side separately. So I would make sure that this side fit tight against the guard, tight against the tang. And I would glue that on tight, epoxy it on tight, and then when it hardened, then I would drill through my holes. Then I would fit this side, glue it on again, and then when it dried, I'd drill back through the knife and then pin it. But with a knife without a guard, that piece of wood that you're fitting here, that is the front edge of your handle. So they have to be the same, so when you're looking straight on your knife like this side and that side look the same. So the way I do that is I'll take my maple handle. You remember the arrows, I have an arrow facing forward and an arrow facing down. Well, actually up, because it's going to go on this way. I'll put that piece of maple right to it like that. I'll take these clamps, and I'll hold it in place. So move them down just a little bit. And now I'm going to drill just the pinholes. I'm not worried about that hole yet, but I'm going to drill these two holes out now. Just like that. I'll take these clamps off. I'll take the knife right out of there. Get the other piece of wood. Again, make sure my arrows are the same. Line everything up, and then clamp them back together. Now I'm going to drill back through so that I'll have holes lined up on both boards. Take that maple. Again, I'll make sure that my arrows are where I need them to be. So it should be like that. Get that out of the way a little bit. I'll take my test pins. I got a couple test pins, which are 1/8 inch pins. They're just made out of steel instead of brass. I'll push that down through. I'm trying to do this one-handed, looking through a camera. Push that down through so that I'm set on that board. And now I'll take a pencil and I'll mark it right around. So a little bit tricky with one hand. Sure you got a good mark. Okay, I'll take that right out. And now I have a pattern to follow. And I'll cut that out, and I'll do the same with my other piece, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I've got them all sanded down to my marks, or nearly to my marks. You can see that I didn't mess with it too hard in the tight corners because I didn't want to take too much off. So next thing I do is I just lay them on the knife, line the holes up, and just make sure that I have enough coverage that I didn't cut myself short anywhere. And I don't, I'm in good shape. This one's the same way, I've checked that. I'm actually going to move on to the next step. The next step to that is actually one step ahead of these. I have one step to go on the wooden handled ones. And that's to fit this spacer material between the handle and the knife. So this with the maple, I'm going to go with the yellow. And I'm just going to lay these down. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to trace them out with a pencil I'm going to have to put the camera down to do this, but I'm going to trace them out with the pencil. I'm just going to cut them with a good heavy-duty pair of scissors, and then I'm going to glue them, or epoxy them, directly to the handles before I move on to the next step. I'll get working on that off the camera. For now, I'm going to set the camera down right over here, looking at the drill press, and I'm going to work on the micarta knife. Go ahead and I'm going to drill my tang hole in the back. My thong hole in the back of the tang. Okay, just like when I did the other holes, I'm going to take this off. I'm going to use this piece as a pattern for this one. There, now I'm going to drill that other hole. Drill it all the way through. Okay, so now I have the thong hole through the handle material. Now the next step, so like I said earlier, this front, this is the finished surface of a knife that doesn't have a guard. So I got to make sure these are all flat and square. So I'm going to do that on this sander. I'm going to leave those pins right in. Swap back. I don't have enough outlets up here to keep everything plugged in, so I have to swap back and forth. And I'm going to shape in front of this. I'm just going to round it off so they're even everywhere. And then they'll look real uniform when I put them on the knife. Yeah, they're all even now. So these are actually just about ready to glue onto the knife. Okay, you can see now, there's a little bit of fuzz in there that I'll get out, but you can see that they're square, they're even, and they'll look good together on the front of the knife. So I'm going to get set up to glue this together. I'm going to get